Yeah, Hare Krishna again, devotees. So I'll start with the brief context of Bhagavad Gita, but let me share my slide to see if that works for this session. Uh, you can see my screen, okay? This comes. Yeah, good. Okay, perfect. So then, with some brief context of Bhagavad Gita, and then we'll discuss more on this. But before that, I wanted to share something based on the audience that is registered for this class. It's wonderful to see so many devotees registering for this class. There are devotees from two categories, broad categories, I'll say. Somebody who's very eager and enthusiastic and wanting to learn what is Bhagavad Gita. They did not get an opportunity earlier, so they want to learn. That is one category of audience who joined today. Another category of audience is they already know Bhagavad Gita, some different aspects, but they wish to know something structured from these sessions, this course like that. There is second type of audience. And the third type of audience joined today is senior devotees who are already practicing several of the Bhagavad Gita principles today in their life. They're chanting the holy name of the Lord today in their daily life. Like that, there are three different categories of audience. So I'll share few things. So each of you, in whichever category you belong, you can benefit from these sessions. So first is always start with a uh, don't start with the premise that I know everything already. Start with the premise that I can learn something from these sessions like that. And then we can pray to Krishna. Krishna, if you so desire, please reveal something to me through these sessions so that I can benefit in my relationship with you. Like that, we can all pray. And then second aspect is uh, if you already studied Bhagavad Gita before, you already understood several principles already before, then this is your opportunity to understand this systematic framework for foundational framework for giving a brief overview of Bhagavad Gita to somebody. So if you already, if you are belonging to such category where you already know a lot of Bhagavad Gita already, what you can, your outcome, your goal for these sessions can be, let me understand these sessions properly and see, can I tell what is Bhagavad Gita, what is the essence of Bhagavad Gita in half an hour to somebody? That can be the goal that you can cultivate for yourself. Then with that, you listen to the session. That way you'll understand the essence of the session, essence of different parts of the session, and how each session is connecting to others, and what is the overall essence of the entire course like that. So that way, wherever you are in your stage of journey, in spiritual journey, you can benefit from these sessions. Okay, that is the introduction. Now coming to the Bhagavad Gita. Many of you know already Bhagavad Gita. So, but some of you may be new. So I'll address. Please do not feel uh, offended when I speak something very basic because there is that audience like I described. Some of them are brand new also. So I'll be catering to them, their needs primarily through the sessions, but your needs also will be covered like I described earlier. So now coming to Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essence of entire Vedic literature. In fact, Srila Vyasadeva, who put Shastras in writing, so he wrote all the Vedas, including Puranas and Itihasas. So Itihasa means in history, is in our colloquial language. So in Itihasas, Mahabharata is the greatest epic, greatest literature that Vyasadeva wrote. So the purpose Vyasadeva wrote these Puranas and Itihasas are to write in simple Sanskrit language to give the essence of the entire Vedic literature through stories, through simple stories like that. That way we can all benefit from this Vedic knowledge. So in he wrote Mahabharata. Mahabharata is great literature with such a vast literature. In that, in one section of Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita scripture. And many of you know it is spoken by Lord Krishna to his devotee and friend Arjuna. So the context was, for those who may not know, the context in very briefly, the context of Bhagavad Gita speaking by Krishna was that At the there was a two families part of Kuru dynasty. So they're called Kauravas and Pandavas. Basically, they're cousin brothers. So one set of brothers, Pandavas, were entitled for the kingdom. However, another set of brothers took over the kingdom and were not ready to share with the other cousin brothers like that. In that context, so for the purpose of establishing religion, for purpose of having the righteous king to be on the throne, so that they can help all the people in general, all the citizens to grow not only to be protected physically, emotionally, mentally, but also spiritually. So Krishna wanted to establish a devotee leader like Yudhishthir Maharaj. So or Dharmaraja, some devotees call him also. So to establish the right over wrong, to establish the righteous ruler for the benefit of all the people in general, Krishna orchestrated for this war to happen, wherein Pandavas and Kauravas were assembled at the battlefield. At that time, Arjuna went into a identity crisis. So that is the main theme for today. What is our identity? That is the main theme and lesson for today. So Arjuna went through identity crisis. Oh my God, I'm supposed to fight because I'm a Kshatriya. That is my duty to work. Fighting is my duty to work. But then at the same time, how can I fight with my own grandfather, with my own teachers, with my own cousin brothers? So it was a conflict in his mind whether to fight, whether to not fight. Because his duty as a Kshatriya, he needs to fight. That will give the decision can be yes, I should fight. But it's a duty as a grandson, duty as a student, not to offend the teacher, offend the grandfather. Instead, respect them. So that leads to I should not fight like that. So he was in identity crisis in making this decision. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful book, not telling Arjuna how to fight, but telling each of us how to live our life in making proper decisions by understanding our real identity in connection with Supreme Lord and connection with everyone and everything in this world also. So when we understand this big picture of who we are, who is God, and then what is the connection of everything here with God and us. When we understand this connection, with that big picture in view, we can make all sorts of decisions in life, starting with small decisions of how to live our life to big decisions in our life. So that is the whole purpose of value of Bhagavad Gita that it brings. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya, many of you know, is a teacher in our Vedic tradition. Let me, I was trying to get to a web page. You can still see the screen. Can you guys see the screen? Yes? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wanted to show you the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya that Adi Shankaracharya wrote. Only couple of things because of lack of time. I'll share few things, but they're very valuable. So one is uh, if one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. So then he says one may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water. That is the external body. But if one takes a bath even once in sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, so he's comparing Bhagavad Gita with Ganga river. For him, the debt of material life is altogether vanquished. And why Bhagavad Gita has so much value? Spoken by Supreme Person of Godhead Krishna. So when you read Bhagavad Gita, you don't have to read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. But now people are absorbed in mundane activities, so it's not possible for them to read all the Vedic literature. And at the same time, it's not necessary also. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literature. And especially because it is spoken by Supreme Person of Godhead like that. So these are several glorifications of Bhagavad Gita. Essentially, is spoken by the Supreme Person of Godhead himself, number one, and it is the essence of all Vedic literature. So we start with the essence. Then, if you understand the essence, then we can expand to other literature in Vedas also. So that is the other aspect. Now, if you noticed, we covered the context of Bhagavad Gita. We can cover the value of studying Bhagavad Gita. That is, and also that should give the impetus on why I need to attend this course, why I need to study the Bhagavad Gita. Because whatever we do in life is good to start with the question why. Because when we have the strong why, strong rationale for doing anything, then the motivation and inspiration will follow to find out how to do it also, and then how to continue it also for longer time. So that is why the emphasis on why we should study Bhagavad Gita. What is the value of Bhagavad Gita for us, like that. Now I'll introduce you the overall four sessions first, and then dive into today's session. Overall four sessions, you can remember this with acronym Gita, Gita. Okay. Today's session will focus on the I of Gita. I is the identity. Identity. So most of us think we are this body. So this session is about we're not just bodies, but we are a spirit soul. That is our real identity. That is the I portion of Gita. And then T portion of Gita is transmigration. So because we are a spirit soul, we're not uh, limited to this one life, but we have uh, repeated lives based on what we do currently and what we desire for future. Based on our desires, based on our actions, we take up the next life form. So that is called soul transmigration. So there is a T. So next is A, G. G part of the Gita. Gita, right? G is God, I is identity, T is transmigration, A is the aim of life. G is about God or Supreme Lord. So we understand who is Supreme Lord. Does God exist? Is there scientific evidence we can say that God exists? And then what does it have to do with me if he exists or not? So that is about God aspect. And then finally the aim of life. So what is the real aim of life? What will make me happy? What will make me completely satisfied? What will make me happy for a longer term, eternally? Not just happy for one day, 1 month, 1 year, one decade, but eternally how I can be happy. So for that, we need to know what is the aim of life. For that, we know, is there something beyond all the things that I'm seeing? Is there something beyond material world, which is spiritual world, like that? So those are the four sessions can be summarized with this GITA. G for God, I for identity, T for transmigration, and A for the aim of life. The way you'll the as long as you stay for all the four sessions, you'll get the real essence of Bhagavad Gita. And that way you get the real foundation to study Bhagavad Gita deeper if you choose to. So now going into today's session, which is about identity. Let me share my presentation. If any of you have doubts during the session, you can raise your hand so that way we can take it appropriate time. Otherwise, we can also have some time for questions at the end also. So this first session, like Harinam Kirtan Prabhu indicated, these courses are designed by His Grace Radhesham Prabhuji. So this first session, including the presentations, he wonderfully designed this so that after working with so many people in this world, so thousands benefited from his training. So this is one training from him. So the self-awareness for a stable life. So that is a nice thing. So when we know who we are, then we can live a stable life. So one natural truth that can change your vision. So when I know who I am, when I know who others are, then I can relate with them properly. And I can see my whole vision changes based on the identity that I take on. For example, you all might have this experience. So most of you might be working. So, or many of you may be working in the office. So when you go to office, there are, let us say, five people in a meeting. One is an engineer, one is a architect, one is a testing tester, one is a developer. Please excuse me if somebody doesn't understand these terms, but I will share the essence also with you, what they mean. Basically, when all of these people are in a meeting, they are each functioning with that entity. I am an architect, I am a developer, I am a tester, like that. So when some subject is being discussed, they are looking at the topic with their view. That means I'm an architect. So I'm thinking, oh, if we do that, in 6 years from now, we'll hit a bottleneck. Then everything has to be changed again by spending $10 million again. That is the architect way of thinking. Then the developer will be thinking, if we have to do that, that will become very complicated code. Instead, we should do it in this way, simple way, like that. At the same time, tester will be thinking, oh, if you have this many parts, it will be very hard to test with this tool that we have. Like that, he'll be thinking. Like that, depending upon the identity they are assuming, they see the things in different ways, like that. So similarly, we all have different identities. Like I'm an architect, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a son, I'm a friend, I'm a brother. Uh, like that, we have different identities in this world. These are called functional identities. Beyond these functional identities, we have a foundational identity. So when we are stuck to our functional identities, then we cannot make decisions nicely in our life. Then we cannot conduct our life because some, like you saw in Arjuna's situation, he has a clash between identity as a Kshatriya, his work duty, identity as a family, grandson, and a student, like that. So the clash between these two functional identities for him to make a decision. That's why Krishna taught him what is his foundational identity as a spirit soul. That way, from that level, he can make decisions easily. That is why this session is very valuable for us from Bhagavad Gita essence we're getting. So this is a short biography of His Grace Radhesham Prabhuji that we talked about, who designed this course and who thought wonderful, many souls benefited from this course and many other courses like this. And then we'll also share the PDF with you. So you'll have the slides also with you. So you can refer back to them to refresh your memory as needed, like that. Yeah. So here, what we're seeing, oh, so what we're seeing here is a difference between a body and a soul. So this is the body that we're carrying right now, but we are a spirit soul inside this body. So the analogy given is there is a car and somebody is driving the car. The driver is driving the car. Similarly, inside this living body that we have, we are a spirit soul that is animating this body. That is the essence of this entire living body. So that is what is being described with this particular analogy here about the car and the driver. So however, you see, there's a difference how there's a difference between car and a driver. Similarly, there's a difference between matter, which is similar to car is made up of matter, and then soul within this body of the driver. So matter is dead. That means it doesn't have any thinking, feeling, and willing. That we're going to see in the coming slides with more detail also. Whereas soul has consciousness. We'll delve deeper into the subject as the slides proceed. What does consciousness means? Consciousness is the presence of thinking, feeling, and willing that we all carry. So that way, because soul is superior to matter in that sense. So now, for example, let us say we see a car accident of a friend. Let us say our friend met with a car accident. So we suddenly reach the site of the car accident. Then the car he's driving is a very luxurious car, whatever brand you like, Mercedes, Benz, or some other brand that you like. Very luxurious car that costs millions of dollars, for example. But as soon as we go to the site of the accident, what do we first do? We see our friend is first healthy, safe. How is he doing? Does he need any medical help right away? we first look at our friend, and then we make proper arrangements for him to go through an ambulance, or proper arrangement for him to go through an ambulance to get any medical help if he needs, like that, so that he's safe and healthy. That's our main focus when we go to the accident. After he is taken care of with the right medical attention, then we look at the car. Oh, where all the damage happened to the car? What do you need to do next with the car? Should I take to the garage or not? Or repair shop, body shop, like that. We don't do the other way around. First, we take care of the body. Let me see all the places that where the damage happened to the car. Then we'll take care of the car, and then we'll ask a friend to move away. We'll take care of the car to take body shop, and then go ask, how are you? We don't do that. It's very clear. This is a basic common sense for us. So there's a value in a living body with a spirit soul than dead matter. In all our interactions, we show that, but we don't recognize that, even though it's implicit in our actions, implicit in our thoughts, implicit in our understanding, implicit in our behavior, but we don't consciously understand it, some of us at least. So this understanding of Bhagavad Gita will ground us that in that understanding that I'm a spirit soul and they're a spirit soul and they're very valuable. So when we act on that platform, our goal, some of you are practicing already for some time. So our goal when we hearing these classes is not just to theoretically understand. Yes, I'm a spirit soul, not this body. But make our decisions in life, make our actions and words dependent upon that understanding and realization. So we are striving to not only have the understanding, but the realization that I'm a soul, and living our life according to that understanding. So this, you see the bottom is underscoring the relationship between the matter, soul, and God. So this is like, you can visualize like a triangle. So God is on the top, and each angle, one angle is the soul, another angle is matter, like that. We're all interrelated. How we're interrelated? Bhagavad Gita explains us properly. When we understand this relationship between the God, matter, and soul, then we can bring a positive changes world in this world. So we'll see some examples also toward the end of this session on how this understanding will practically matter for all of us, like that. So let me go to the next slide. So these are the few topics we're going to cover today. So just you see, first thing is, am I matter or am I spirit? Second topic is, what are the 6 changes that happen in a living body as opposed to matter? And third thing is, many times we face this question, is there really proof that soul exists? How can we say that soul really exists? Is it just belief? I need to just believe it without asking questions? That is what is addressed in this section. And then we'll also understand the mechanism of mind, how the mind is affected, how mind is valuable in our activities and what we do in our life, how we achieve our goals, how we achieve success in our life, like that. So last section will be the practical benefits of understanding this knowledge of soul in everyday life. And the next session that we'll hear next week will build upon this knowledge to even more higher level, like that. So as you go on these sessions, you'll see you'll benefit a lot from understanding this at a foundation level. So we'll go into the first section, am I spirit or soul, like that. So generally we ask the who question, who are you? Then most of us probably will answer, I'm an architect, I'm a husband, I'm an Indian, I'm an American, I'm a Russian, like that. But beyond these functional identities like I described, we have an underlying identity of spirit soul. So this is a professor, Dr. Harry Monson, is a professor of anatomy in the Illinois, near Chicago, Illinois College of Medicine, it seems. Apparently, he analyzed how a human body is made of bunch of chemicals, He even tells how much of each chemical is there you see on the screen like that. So if you just analyze, actually there are two portions of science. One is called mechanistic science and non-mechanistic science. In mechanistic science, people believe that everything is, I believe only whatever I see. There's nothing beyond that. So in other ways, saying is they only believe in matter. So this is in that section of scientific way of thinking, which is human body is just made of chemicals. If you subscribe to this philosophy that I'm only a bunch of chemicals, then what is the value of me? Somebody calculated is 110 rupees. Even if you make it $1,000, even make it $10,000, do we think we're just few dollars of money? We're just bunch of chemicals? Is that all value we have in life? No, each of us have lot of value beyond just being chemicals. So just that is not our real identity. So that's what he's talking about. We don't consider we're not just chemicals. Then we need to focus. We need to inquire. In Vedanta Sutra, which is the ending of after writing all the Vedas, Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Vedanta Sutra. Anta means end. Veda means knowledge. Vedanta means end of all knowledge. So he summarized the whole Vedas with sutras. He says one of them he says is Atato Brahma Jignasa. That means we need to inquire at the higher reality. That means who we really are. That is the inquiry we all need to have. That is the basic function of a human being compared to unlike animal, unlike bird. They cannot ask those questions, but we can ask those questions, higher reality questions like that. So this is a I don't know. Some of you maybe of my generation, some of you are very young, may not know her also. So she's an actress from India. Her name is Sridevi. For those who do not know, uh, so she was a very beautiful actress with living beauty. But at the same time, after death, look at her. Her beauty is not seen much after the death. And many of us know after death what happens. Our body decomposes very, very quickly. In fact, our close relatives, our husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, they want to stay away from dead body more than few minutes. They cannot stay for more than few minutes. They will say, "Oh my God, I'm scared. Let me go away." Then they will dispose of the body very soon. In fact, in our culture, we are meant to take care of the body last rites in few hours, unless it happens in the death happens in the night time. Then we wait for the next day morning like that. So after, if let us say we subscribe to the philosopher or the professor in the previous slide we saw, who said we are just nothing but bunch of chemicals. If that is a true statement, that is the hypothesis is true, let us say, then what happened between the living body and the dead body then? Same chemical is still existing. It's not like somebody put a injection and took away potassium out of our body. Somebody to put an injection to take a phosphorus out of body. No, same chemicals are still existing. But after death, these things are not there. There is no feelings, no thinking, no desires, no movement even, and essentially no consciousness after death. So, what is differentiating between a living person and a dead body is that consciousness aspect, which is the attributed to the spirit soul. Now, at death, the soul has left the body. In fact, we'll see in later slides also, in common sense language also, we'll say, oh, he left. Oh, she left the body. Where is she left? She's still lying there or he's still lying there. But what is left is the living force in the body, the consciousness. The soul is gone like that. So that is what we need to understand. So now this picture, this is talking about a Bhagavad Gita sloka. By the way, this section of identity described by Krishna is the first theme, first set of lessons that Krishna gives to Arjuna. That starts in the second chapter. In the first chapter, Arjuna is all confused. Should I fight? Should I not fight? Should I fight? Should I not fight? Like that, he's confused. in the duty. Whereas in second chapter onwards, Krishna starts with identity. Because as we discussed, when foundational identity is clear, then we can easily make decisions in life. And we do always the right thing like that. So, in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 20th verse, he's saying, for the soul, is basically telling the eternality of the soul. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. That means, even we are experiencing death in this life, but it's not that soul is gone forever. Soul is still living and will continue to live after death also. The Sanskrit for this verse goes like this: न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. So, in the same purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about six changes of a living body also. So, basically, Krishna, Supreme Lord, is asserting that we are not this body that we think we are, that we see in everybody else, but we are a spirit soul that is eternal, living beyond death. Just the simple fact of knowing that not everything is completing at the end of this life gives us a higher place to work from. Some people think all we have is this life, so we can do whatever damn thing we want. There's no impact of it, there's no consequence of it, like that they think. Now, this kind of knowledge from Krishna helps us to understand there are consequences of what we do in this life, in the next life. There are consequences. What we do in this life matters because we can elevate our position or we can degrade our position. We can elevate our position to become a demigod. We can elevate our position to become permanent resident in the spiritual world, or we can degrade ourselves to animal body. We can degrade ourselves to get a bird body like that. So there's a real impact of this knowledge. It's not just knowledge. I know what a soul means. I know I'm a soul. I know Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I'm soul. There's a real impact to this life. Because with the understanding, we live. We see everything. How we study in our life in classes, how we do our office work, how we interact with our family, how we interact with our society, what we do with our society. Everything can change with this foundation knowledge we have. So now, some more differences between matter and soul. So the body is made of matter, whereas soul is made of spirit, spiritual. Spiritual means it is beyond matter. It's not made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That is what it means, spirit means. And body is not conscious, whereas soul is conscious. And body changes. Like I had a body of a small baby several years ago, and then later on I became a young man. Now I'm becoming little older now. So like that body keeps on changing, but the soul, there's no change. That is why many of us, even though we are old, we would like to play cricket like we were played in the young body, with young body, young life. We like to dance like when we are dancing young. But now, as we grow old, our body may not cooperate for us to dance like 2 hours like when we danced at a young age, or play cricket for 3 hours like we played at the young age, like that. That's why the soul is still young, like that. We hear that statement also. There are no changes in the soul. And the body is temporary because it lives for some time. Whereas soul is eternal. That we talked about from the previous Bhagavad Gita verse also. Body is dead. Dead in the sense that there's no living consciousness inside it unless the soul enters the body. Whereas soul is alive, soul is conscious, soul has feelings like that. So the material viewpoint is like this, where body is made up of matter, we're known more than the chemical bundle. That is a material viewpoint. So whereas and everything is finished at the time of death. I briefly touched on this also earlier. Now, what is the spiritual viewpoint? How we need to see ourselves and others and the life in others? That we're not just this material body. We are a spirit soul living inside this material body. And when the material body dies or stops to function, we do not die. We have a next life, next destination we go to based on our desires, based on our actions. That you'll see in the coming up session also, more details about how that happens. How do we decide what is the next life we go to? That you'll see in the coming up session also. So here, what you see in the picture, nicely animated, is that the spirit soul, irrespective of the body form, we have one nature of being spiritual. One spirit soul is there. Each of us are individual spirit soul also. Not like we're all one. We are each individual spirit soul like that. So now, so some differences between a living body and a dead body. Of course, living person can speak, can see, and we can hear heart pumping blood. We can feel the heartbeat, and we can move. Whereas, whereas a car functions with a driver in it. It even though it's making sound with a horn, even though it has headlights to see, but it cannot perceive them. It cannot have any feelings. Oh, I'm seeing such nice weather today. It cannot have that kind of feelings like that. So, and it's dependent on a driver making something. Even if an autonomous car these days, where there's a self-driving cars, right? Even that is programmed by spirit soul. That is why it's operating with a spirit without a spirit soul like that. So that is the other thing. And then this is a nice example to illustrate the importance of taking care of the soul. This old lady has a bird in a golden cage, and she every day she's polishing the cage nicely. She's taking care of the cage nicely, so it's well kept. But she forgot one thing, to feed the bird inside the cage. So now what's happening? Even though she took care of the cage, but bird did not get any food or water. So how can bird live? Bird died after some time. So our situation is also like this. We are a spirit soul sitting inside a this body like a cage. The bird is like in this analogy, bird is like the soul, and the cage is like the body for us. So we not only should take care of the body, but we should also nourish the soul. As the session progresses, you'll see in the courses how we can nourish the soul also. We'll hear more and more on that topic. But the main thing to take care of is, because our real identity is the spirit soul, we need to take care of the soul also, not just the body. Otherwise, we may be missing the main point like that. So we complete the first section. I'm a matter or a spirit soul. Then we will go to the next section, six changes of the living body. So the difference between a dead body and living body is that living body undergoes changes. So somebody is asking our founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada here, in this picture with the beadbag here, you see, and someone is asking him, our body is just a machine. When it gets worn out and it crashes, why should we bother about some soul power in the body? Is asking the question. So then Prabhupada is answering, if you think it's a machine or a computer or a car, uh, does your car grow? Do you have a male and female car? They both can meet and produce a baby car. So Prabhupada is giving the principle that a living body undergoes six changes. So then you cannot call it like a car. Whereas matter, after some time, it just depreciates. That means, like if I keep an apple on the table, after some time, the apple will not be in a good form anymore. It will become crumbled slowly, and it gets spoiled like that. That's the nature of matter. But when soul is there in the body, then the body is alive. That's what is showing. What are the six changes in a body? We'll discuss, and that's what differentiates between a living body and a robot also. So body goes to six changes of the body are birth, then we take a form, bodily form, and then we grow for some time, and then we maintain for some time, and then we produce byproducts like children, for example, and then we dwindle. That means we slowly degrade. Many of you might notice as we become old, our bodily functions dwindle little by little. What I used to hear very sharply earlier, my hearing capacity is reduced. What I used to see, my seeing capacity is reduced. What I used to be able to chew with my teeth, my capacity is reducing as I age like that. So that is a dwindling process. And then finally, we meet with the death to go to the next body like that. So This picture is also showing how we start here and we're growing old, and finally meeting death. So we are spirit soul inside this body that is changing through different changes that we discussed just now. So that is the difference between a living body, one difference between a living body and a robot. Another main difference is this Prabhupada already talked about it in that response he gave to the gentleman, that one male and female living body can create another living body, another baby, whereas a robot cannot do that. So this is a picture of different different spirit souls in different forms of body, whether a human, dog, bird, cat, swan, they can produce other living beings. Whereas a truck here and a big bus here, they cannot combine and produce a beautiful car. So that is what is illustrated here. Essentially, that is the second difference between living body and robot. First one we talked about was six changes in the that happens because of presence of soul. Second is we can produce another living entity. Third is living body has consciousness. We touched on it earlier. We can think, we can feel, we can will what to do. Whereas matter does not have any consciousness. My table doesn't think what can I do today, what can I eat today, how am I feeling today? I'm feeling sad today. It cannot think like that. So those are the three major differences between a living body and a robot we discussed. Coming to the there is this is very important to understand that the what we are seeing now is the external body or gross body that is made up of these five material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Yeah. But then beyond this, there is a subtle body inside us. So many of you may know, some of you it may be new thing for you. So the subtle body is composed of three things: mind, intelligence, and false ego. Why is it called subtle body? It's called subtle because I cannot perceive it with my eyes. I cannot touch it with my hand. I cannot eat it, or I cannot hear it. I cannot breathe it. That is why this is called subtle. And there are many things that like this subtle in life that we cannot see, but they exist. For example, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are subtle body. They exist, but how do we know they exist? We'll go to in the next slides. We'll explain. But essentially, by the symptoms, we can see something is existing like that. Like the how we can say fire has two main symptoms. It produces heat and it produces light. So by seeing the symptom of heat and light, we say, oh, this fire is there like that. Similarly, mind, intelligence, and false ego have symptoms that we'll discuss. And then we are the spirit soul inside this that is covered by the subtle body, which is covered by the gross body. So now you can see we have two coverings. The spirit soul has these three characteristics: eternity, knowledge, and bliss. In Sanskrit, it's called Sat, Chit, and Ananda, Sachidananda. So, how do we understand this very in a simple way? All of us want to live forever. That longing is there naturally in us. All of us want to have the curiosity to know different things. That the desire to know is there for us, all of us, innate. All of us want to be blissful, happy all the time. These are the natural characteristics of the soul. That is why that itself is a testimony that we are a spirit soul, like that. Even a monkey, if you keep it in a cage that is closed, or keep it in one place where there's a big wall, it will be curious. What is there on the other side? Let me jump and see, like that. So, living being means we are inquiring, we are conscious, we are thinking about wanting to acquire knowledge, wanting to be happy, wanting to be living eternally happily, like that. So, from gross, these are going to subtle. Soul is even more subtler than the subtle body, like that. So now we talked about these two topics: uh, difference between matter and spirit, and the six changes of the living body, or the difference between living body and a robot. We talked about. Now we go to the interesting section of what are the scientific proofs for existence of the soul. Now, so this has we'll review this in four different aspects. This is a very important section for many of you, because even though we can believe it, we understand it, we have the realization of it, these are helpful for sharing with others. So that's why it's important to have structured knowledge like this. So one is a common sense understanding, one is from consciousness perspective, from one is near death experience, out of body experience, and reincarnation research. I'll go into each one of them in detail. So common sense, when somebody dies, we say, oh, he has passed away, she has passed away, like that. Even though body is still there, but the soul has passed away. That common sense way of talking. Another thing is, another way of common sense way of talking is about, oh, this is my hand, this is my eyes, these are my these are my ears, like that we say. But who is that my? That is the spirit soul, like that. So now that is the first aspect, just by common sense itself. Second is by consciousness wise. So we talked about it already, but I'll briefly connect again one more with this example here. The example here is a camera is also watching a beautiful scenario, beautiful scene, beautiful nature, sunrise. Here, sunrise is depicted. Beautiful sunrise is coming, and a nice forest looks like, or a park where some old man and old woman are going walking in the park, or there's a couple maybe experiencing the sunrise. At the same time, the camera is recording it, but the camera cannot develop. Wow, the sunrise is so beautiful. It doesn't have these feelings. It doesn't have thinking. It doesn't have willing, like that. Whereas the living being is experiencing the same thing, has a wonderful experience. He can has a sweet memories also. We might have gone to some faraway place for watching a sunrise sometime ago near a beach. We have that the moment we see sunrise, wow, that day I saw the sunrise, it was so beautiful, like that. We have memory. But camera is capturing the memory, but doesn't have any feelings about that memory, like that. Third aspect is near death experiences. This is scenario explained by in a medical journal of current problems in pediatrics. Apparently, um, they have 11 this is a statistic, 11% to 14% have had out of body experience. Out of body experience means they experience that they came out of the body and saw something, like in this picture, somebody came out of the body and seeing from above, like that. Some people have that experience, it seems. And then also there are near death experiences that research is there. So there are so many books written on this topic. It's not just one man thinking, or few people got together. Okay, let's make this idea popular, that soul exists, like that. We'll discuss more about it. So this man is a professor. He is no more currently. He passed away. He was a professor of psychiatrist in the University of Virginia, very close to here, and he did research of more than 2,000 to 3,000 cases of reincarnation memories also. So I will cover one more thing on the previous aspect, uh, near death experience. There was a one time somebody was in a hospital, in they were being operated on with a cardiac surgery. Generally, with cardiac surgery, whole body is given anesthesia. That means they don't see anybody, they don't hear anything, like that we think. But this guy, at the end of the surgery, he told, "Oh, doctor was talking this to nurse at that time," like that he told. How was that possible? He came out of this body at that time, out of body experience, and then he observed everything and he shared like that experience, like that. So we'll have more detail on this also. So this professor did so much research and published many books also on this topic of reincarnation. And so how some people remember what they were in the past life, what they did in the past life, like that. His research culminates into few common themes. One is a phobia. Somebody scared about water. Somebody scared when they see a knife. All this is because in the past life they had some strange or a trauma trauma experience with water. For example, somebody had like death in water. drowning, then they will be having that kind of phobias now like that. Somebody was uh, arrested in a closed space, dark space, then they have claustrophobia. They cannot go to dark spaces anymore. You might know some of your friends. I know someone who cannot go to MRI machine because they're very scared of dark spaces like that. These phobias, he noticed, are more easily, most of the time, connected to the past life memories like that. And then here, somebody is scared about firearms because they had their life ended in the past. They died with a shooting, like for example. And then this is an interesting observation through his whole research. This is about, let us say, the twins. Twins are coming normally by splitting of one egg, it seems, in scientific terminology, from medical terminology, and from the same genetical material also. But they both usually have different temperament, different mood, sometimes even different lifestyle. All those things can happen. How is that explained? He explained because they are two different souls. Even though they came from one egg, they are two different souls reincarnated in two different bodies now. That's why even though they're genetically identical, but they have different temperament, different desires, they want to do different things. One of them may become thief, one of them become a police officer like that. So that is possible because of the existence of soul. Oh, this is a nice one. I think it's a video. Let me see if it comes up. Yeah. Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear sound yet? You
No,
cannot hear sound,
no.
right? No?
Sound.
Okay. Okay, let me reshare it with sound then.
I can beat the Japanese easy as pie.
When he was about 3, he started to draw a lot. He started to sign some of those drawings James 3.
He would just be crying. He'd say, airplane crash on fire.
So one day I asked him, I said, why are you signing your name James 3? His response was, well, I'm the third James.
It's being called the case for reincarnation.
There you go.
This 7-year-old boy from Louisiana not only shares the same name as this World War II fighter pilot, they seem to share the same soul.
Initially, what caught my attention was James's extreme fascination with airplanes.
James Leininger's parents don't believe in past lives, but realized early on their son was unique.
I took him to the Cavanaugh Flight Museum. That every time we went to the area where the World War II aircraft were located, he would just stand there and point, mesmerized.
He was barely 2 years old. Here's home video. While the other youngsters viewed the bombers with a childlike curiosity, little James recognized the steely war machines with a certain familiarity and comfort.
I said, oh, look, there's a bomb on the bottom. He said, that's not a bomb, that's a drop tank.
That innocent trip to the museum would dramatically alter their lives and the lives of complete strangers forever.
He started having the nightmares, and that was my first indication that there was something wrong. The screaming was not like a normal child crying. It was a panic-stricken, terrorized screaming.
Over and over again, James had the same terrible nightmare, 4 to 5 times a week. He was too young to explain the dream, but he could draw.
He started doing these little drawings of airplanes shooting at other airplanes or being shot down. It's the only thing he still draws. Bombing ships, you see men parachuting. Here's another one where planes are dropping bombs. And this is a carrier, and you can see where what he does is when he draws them, he starts with just a picture, and then he just starts drawing lines all over the place like he's playing out a movie.
I kept thinking, where is he getting this? What's he watching on television? But I was a stay-at-home mom, so I know that there wasn't anything that he was being exposed to.
Not exposed to in this life, but perhaps, just maybe, somebody else was. Decades earlier, another little boy named James grew up in South Bend, Indiana, with the same insatiable fascination with airplanes. He became a fighter pilot for the Navy and shipped off to fight in World War II. March 3, 1945, during a mission near Iwo Jima, he took a direct hit, was declared missing and presumed dead.
He would wake up in the middle of the night, he'd be laying on his back, kicking his feet up at the ceiling and screaming. It was almost like if you were laying on your back inside a box and you're trying to kick the lid off the box. When I would wake him up, he would just be crying and he'd say, "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out." He said that over and over, night after night.
What goes through your mind when your 2-year-old says things like that?
It freaked me out. It's like I can see in your face that it's startling and it's frightening.
I was alarmed by the frequency of the dreams or nightmares.
This was just the beginning. Nothing could prepare Andrea and Bruce Leininger for what James revealed next.
And I remember he laid on his back and he did the same motion like he did in the nightmares. He laid on his back and kicked up at the ceiling and he goes, "Mama, the little man's going like this." And he laid on his back and kicked his feet up. The little man's going, "Ooh, ooh, 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 can't get out." And I said, "Well, who's the little man, baby?" And he goes, "Me."
Yeah. Oh, I think I played the same thing again. Yeah. So this is another reincarnation story briefly. Remember Dr. Ian Stevenson, he did so many researches, right? So out of one of the 3,000 cases he did, this girl, a small girl, remembered her past life. And she even showed the way to their past life wherever her husband was there, her in-laws family is there, children are there, like that. They she even you even know how villages you need to know particular route how to go. She showed all that route also. She identified her husband also. She identified her mother-in-law, brothers-in-law, husband and daughter, like that. So this is a real. There's no other explanation because that child never been to this place, never met these people before, but she was attached to going there. So took all of them, and then uh, and this Dr. Ian Stevenson doesn't want to believe anything everybody says. So he practically tested them. Are they really telling the truth or somebody fed them like that? So he practically proved that they're really genuine cases like that. So that's the other. This portion is showing how some great people, so like Benjamin Franklin, for example, finding myself to exist in the world, I believe I shall in some shape or other always exist. That means he believes in eternality. Like that, John Adams, Socrates, all these great philosophers and leaders also believed in the existence of soul. So now we'll briefly touch on the mechanism of mind before we touch on the practical benefits we already talked about in the session. Yeah. So mechanism the where is that? Let me see. Yeah. Good. So mind is a repository or a storehouse of thoughts, unfulfilled desires, and previous experiences. Whatever thoughts we are getting, they are coming in the mind. Whatever desires we are getting, they are coming in the mind. And the previous experiences are always storing. What are we seeing? So you see, mind is gathering input comes from the mind from the senses. Eyes, nose, tongues, ear, and skin. These are called knowledge acquiring senses. So when we know where the input is coming from, when we qualify the input, when we regulate the input, when we select the input, then the output can be regulated. That's why it's important how mind gathers the input for us. And the intelligence is the decision maker based on the storehouse of thoughts and desires. So intelligence can say, oh, you want to fulfill this desire? What to do? Intelligence can guide like that. So that's the important understanding we need to have. And then second aspect here is this is a principle of chariot of the body that Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam describe how the five horses of this chariot are like the senses. eyes, ears, nose, skin, like that. And then this reins is like the mind, and then the intelligence is like the driver who is holding the reins, and then finally the passenger is the spirit soul in this chariot. So the idea to capture from this picture is that if the senses are uncontrolled, like horses going in different directions, I cannot go to the goal that I want to go. I cannot achieve the success I want to achieve. Whereas, if I have the spirit soul with control my intelligence, with a strengthened intelligence, then I will direct the mind, which will direct the intelligence, like the reins, driver controlling the reins. I will direct the mind with my intelligence, sharpened intelligence. Then I can control the senses. Then I can go the direction I want. I will achieve whatever I want in my life. So, by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and by practicing spiritual life, we can strengthen our intelligence. By strengthening our intelligence, we can also uh, uh, focus our mind, control our mind. That way, we can direct our senses in right direction for success in our life, like that. So this we already discussed. Now, so our mind can have positive thoughts or negative thoughts. Some people suffer with negative thinking throughout the life, like that. So some things are necessary for work, career, routine, profession related. Some things are keep on thinking about the past and worrying about that, or keep on thinking about future, what will happen next, what I will do. These are wasteful thoughts, like that. So we should always keep our thoughts to the necessary thoughts or positive thinking. How do we do that? By controlling what goes in this gigo principle. If garbage comes inside mind, then garbage goes out. But if good comes in, good goes out. If we associate with positivity, then positivity comes out. If we associate with negativity, negative comes out, like that. So what we see, what we hear, what we read, all this, who we associate with, is very, very important, because that shapes our thoughts, desires, and that shapes about, that's how we can control our mind and make our mind useful for achieving success in our life, like that. So by changing the scripts written in our mind, by feeding with the right things, we can control our mind, and by studying the Gita regularly, and by meditating on the mantra, with mantra like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. With this mantra meditation, that will help us also to control the mind, focus our mind, like that. In fact, mantra meditation and reading Bhagavad Gita, they're like two tracks of a train. They'll help us to focus the mind, they'll help us to strengthen the intelligence, which can guide the mind and the senses to achieve what we want to achieve in life. This is a practical example of Srila Prabhupada. When he came in 1965 to US, there are so many people who were at unrest, not knowing what to do with life, how to be, and taking to drugs, thinking that that is the means of getting happiness. But they all got transformed by taking spiritual life, studying Bhagavad Gita, applying Bhagavad Gita life in principles in life, and then also by chanting. So they're now pure devotees, like that. And now we're going into the some of the practical aspects, benefits of the this knowledge of understanding with that we are spirit soul, like that. So if we understand functional identity, if we stay at functional identity level, then we think like this: I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a white, I'm an Indian, I'm a rich person, I'm a beautiful person, ugly person, like that. But then if we understand that we are spirit soul, then irrespective of which place we are coming from, irrespective of how our body looks like, doesn't matter. We still relate with each other, understanding that we're connected to one God, understanding that we're spirit soul eternally. We happen to be in this body currently. So then we can live very harmoniously. So I see this is a gathering of ISKCON organized in Calcutta on the occasion of 50 years of ISKCON, where people, you can see flags from so many different countries. They all gathered together and working cooperatively. That is possible when we go beyond the functional identity to foundational identity, like that. This is another benefit. of going beyond inferiority complex. Sometimes we'll think, oh, my body is not so nice. I don't look beautiful. I'm not so talented in terms of my knowledge. Like that, we'll think in terms of functional identity and what is limiting from the body perspective. But when we understand we're spirit soul, but each of us is gifted with enough potential, enough gifts in life to be happy and in life and to pursue the purpose of life, then we go beyond the inferiority complex and live with everyone happily like that. And remember, we talked about the positive outlook and attitude of life. So, this is another example of how somebody may be limiting by their beliefs that there's only so much I need to do my best to get what I need for myself. I don't care about anybody else like that. But instead of that, when you have this higher understanding and bigger picture of life, understanding them and the spirit soul, others are spirit soul, then we work cooperatively with tolerance, patience, and harmoniously with each other like that. And then, of course, this is the principle of hoarding mentality versus service mentality. So instead of using what we have with others, sharing with others by serving with what we have, if we don't have this soul understanding, we'll think all we have to do is keep this body happy. For that, I'll get a lot of money. That's all. I don't care what happens to anybody else. That the mentality will not be there anymore. We'll be serving others, including other living entities like animals also. So uh, basically, this is trying to say that we are not gods. We're not God ourselves, but we are God's property like that. I'm a tiny jiva, not the ultimate God, but a tiny part and parcel servant of the Lord. Leaving Lord's company, forced to be born in pain in the world, filled with agony again and again, like that. Krishna is my Lord, the source of all existence. His form is imperishable, full of six opulences. He pays a visit to this world out of his own sweet will to please and protect his devotees and punish the evil. So he is there for us. I am only Brahman, spirit soul, but Krishna is supreme soul, Parabrahman. My power is limited, his potencies are unlimited. I can make a small swimming pool, but God can create a big ocean. I can fly a rocket, Lord can float a huge planet. I can invent a dome light, small light, but God can sh- give sunlight and moonlight to all of us. Lord is the actual doer. I'm just an imitator. Lord has these features, omnipresent. He's present everywhere. He's omnipotent. He can do anything. He's omniscient. He knows everything. But we don't have that much. We know little bit. We have little strength, and we can be present only at one place like that. So we are spiritual, part and parcel of God, but we are small in quantity, but same in quality, like God, like that. So this is the understanding of a living entity. This is a summary slide. When we send out the slide, so you'll see the summary of this whole thing. I'll just flash one slide about the next courses, and then we'll open up for questions also after that. So basically, these are the four sessions. We talked about the identity in the first session. Next session, we'll hear about more about the goal, how we are not all in all, but there's a God in control. In the following session, you'll learn the secret of working. So how we talk, remember we talked about the transmigration, that will be part of this session. How this life is not all in all, we have a life beyond this life like that. In the fourth session, we talk about the aim of life and how we can achieve the aim of life with this understanding like that to awaken the love of Godhead. So I'll pause here. S- I wanted to give more time for questions, but I uh, could not manage the time. Sorry about that. But please feel free to ask questions here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So thank you so much for beautifully describing all the things. We really appreciate your help. So please, I request now all of you can have your video on. So it's going to be very interesting. So Prabhu, there is a question I'll be reading out. There are two questions,
Sure,
and others can also let's others can ask also if they want to ask. They can raise their hand and then I can invite.
sure, bro.
Please, devotees, have your video on now. Please, it's good. So there is a devotee called Sandhya. She's asking, What does this have to do with Gita? Am I in a wrong class? I'm interested in knowing and learning about Gita verses and their meaning.
Oh, very nice question. I noticed that she's not in the call anymore. Hopefully, she get a chance to hear the recording, but it'll benefit others. So let me share. So first of all, I love that she already has enthusiasm, interest to learn Gita verses and the meaning of the verses. So this is the introductory course to get you there. If somebody is interested to deeply learn each of the verses in terms of Sanskrit meaning and practical application in our life, each of the verses, this is a foundation class to get there. So the idea of this foundation course was to give you the overall essence of Bhagavad Gita, because many people cannot invest 1 year classes of deep foundation, deep classes on Bhagavad Gita verses. So this is our way of introducing Bhagavad Gita to you with a foundational course of essence of Bhagavad Gita. So you get inspired to study more of Bhagavad Gita. Hopefully that helps, Sandhya Mataji, whenever you hear the recording.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Also, I see that in my experience during this presentation, we do cover many of the most important verses. So that's always helpful to refer. Yes, so there is a question from Sangeeta Mataji. Please, Sangeeta Mataji, go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Hare
thank you
Krishna.
for the class. So I have few questions. So, so you mentioned about the progression of the matter, like there are 6 changes, right?
Mhm,
You said but so similarly, is there a progression of the soul also?
Yes. Yeah, very nice question. So two things. What I mentioned was whenever there's a soul in the matter, that means when a soul is in the body, that's where the 6 changes happens, Mataji. There's a living body. Unlike a matter doesn't go through 6 changes, but when the soul enters the body, then the 6 changes happen. That's one thing I want to share. Now, progressions of the soul. There are two broad progressions of the soul. All the Vedic knowledge, including Bhagavad Gita, is there because soul can progress to higher levels. What is that higher levels? In terms of the consciousness. So the consciousness, the highest level is that I am a part and parcel of God, I am servant of the Lord, and I'm going to serve Him in relationship with Him. That is the highest consciousness. Lowest consciousness is I don't care about anybody. I want to be happy. I want to give pleasure to my senses. I don't care about anything and everything like that. That is the animal consciousness. Only sense enjoyment is the highest level. So, in other ways, the progression is from enjoyment with only me in the picture to service, happiness in service to Krishna with Krishna as the center of my life or Supreme Lord as the center of my life. That is one way we can see the progression, Mati. Make sense?
Yes, and that is how we kind of nourish the soul that you were mentioning in the.
Yeah. We nourish the soul by reading Bhagavad Gita regularly, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we talked about regularly, and by following what Bhagavad Gita is telling us in our life. That way we can nourish our soul. What benefits the soul we understand, and then we apply that in our life. That's so we can nourish the soul and grow in that consciousness, Mother. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
And
you.
I have one more question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
You mentioned about the functional identity and the foundational identity.
Ah,
So first, we need to understand the foundational identity, and based on that, we decide or our functions are decided. Is that
yeah, I'll tell you. Maybe I'll tell you what I meant by functional identity is like, for example, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a student, I'm an employee of a company, I'm a member of the temple congregation, I'm a friend. These different designations we have are called functional identities, Madai. That means these the designations are helping us to function in this life currently in a particular role like that. So those are all important and we need to do justice to those functional identities. But at the same time, we need to remember what is my foundational identity as a spirit soul. Understand that and realize that. then even though I have a conflict between these two situations, as a son, I need to take care of my mom. As a husband, I need to take care of my wife. These two can sometimes get into conflict. But when I understand my foundational identity, I'll get the guidance. I'll know how to act in such a way, but I will do justice to these two functional identities like that. Make sense?
Yes,
That is what.
Prabhuji. And one very simple, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned about the the four meaning of the word Gita,
Uh-huh.
like the God identity, then transmigration, and the aim, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
is that a like I'm trying to connect, like is that a flow to that, like
Yeah.
ABC, right? So
Wonderful.
is
Yeah.
that like is that the flow should be, or it can? I'm just trying to connect.
Got it. Wonderful. First thing is, it's just an acronym that His Grace Radhesham Prabhu coined so that we can remember this course, how it progresses. The flow to that is, first we need to know who we are, identity. Then we need to know what happens beyond this life. Is it just this life, or is there something beyond this life? That we know with T, transformation. And then we need to know who is God. So then we know who is God. Then we know aim of life. That is the flow. Basically, in other ways, who am I? First item. Next item is who is God. Next is what happens after this life. That is the third item. And then finally, what is the aim of life and how do I achieve it? That is the flow. Even though it's not aligning with GITA, it's aligning with
Okay, got it.
IGTA like that.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. That's
Okay.
very helpful.
Thank you,
Thank
Mate.
you.
Very
Okay.
inquisitive, Mate. Nice questions. Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Sangeeta Mataji. Shravani, Shravani Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. I have two questions.
Sure.
First one is brain, mind, and consciousness. All these three mean the same thing?
No, I will share with you one short video also in the group. You're in the WhatsApp group already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will share with you a short video or article from his guest Chaitanya Charan Prabhu that elaborates on the topic a lot more, but I'll touch on it a little bit now. He will give a
Okay.
wonderful explanation. Essentially, brain is the physical uh, organ within our body. It's conducting
Right.
some things. So that is a gross organ. Whereas mind is subtle. It is not there in one particular place in the brain or something. It is spread throughout the body. So mind is a subtle element, like how soul we talked about consciousness, right? Is spread throughout the body. So
Right.
similarly, mind is a subtle thing. That's a storehouse of thoughts, feelings, desires like that.
Uh-huh.
And he explains, Chetan Chandru explains with another analogy also, like how hardware, software, and we are the user of the computer. Let us say I'm using computer. Computer has a hardware, and then operating system is software, and then I am the user is the user, right? Using this
Right.
analogy, the way he explains the analogy is hardware is like the gross body or the senses that we have, like eyes, ears, nose, like that, hands, like that, right? That is the hardware.
Uh-huh.
And then the operating system is like the mind, and then we user as like the soul. So soul is interacting through the senses of eyes and all through the mind medium. So that way,
Gotcha.
mind is facilitating my connection to the senses. So through mind, I'm interacting with the eyes like that. But he gives even more
Oh,
beautiful explanation. I cannot do so much justice to you. I will share with you in the group, with you and all of you.
okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Mm.
And second question, is spirit same as soul?
Yeah, spirit is commonly referred as soul. Soul is spirit as spirit. Correct. Yes,
Oh,
both are
okay.
same.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you so
correct.
much, Prabhuji. Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Kiran Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Nice seeing you.
Hare
Please go ahead.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna, Swamiji. So my question is like, it's not particular to Saul and what all you spoke. It's a general question I always had. So, we have these four yugas, starting Satya Yuga, ending with Kali Yuga. We often get to hear what all has happened between these four yugas, but my question goes beyond these four yugas. What was that period which is before Satya Yuga? What is that period that comes after Kali Yuga?
Ah, got it. Nice thinking, Maru. So I know it's fully not connected to the session, but I'll briefly address it for you. Essentially, Vedic understanding of time, Vedic description of time is cyclical in nature. Cyclical in nature means Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, and again Satya Yuga comes like that. And there's a whole chart of the Vedic time cycle also I'll share with you. I have to remember these things, what I'm telling. Let me write down cycle of time. And I told I will share with mind related article or video also. Yeah, good. So then basically what happens is in a whole life of Brahma, then there are so many billions of these yuga cycles happens. In one particular day of Brahma, there are 1,000 Chatur Yuga cycles, 1,000 Divya Yugas they call it. Divya Yuga means Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga like that. So, so it is happening cyclically like that, keep on going like that. And then at the end of Brahma's life, which is 100 years, 100 years of 1,004 yugas daytime, 1,004 yugas nighttime. Can you imagine such a big lifestyle? At that time, whole universe annihilates. And then Supreme Lord creates the universe again like that. That is how the time goes on, Prabhuji.
So this entire period we can call it as one day of the Supreme Soul, right?
Yeah, one day you can call
Okay.
it like that. One.
So my question is, in this current day of Supreme Soul, he took 10 incarnations or maybe 24 incarnations actually. 10 or 10 we call as Dasha.
There are millions of incarnations there, it seems. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have we are
10 or
understanding of some of
10.
them. Yeah.
So my question, these are in today's current day of the Supreme Soul. So what happened in yesterday's day of Supreme Soul?
Ah, got it. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes that Supreme Lord comes periodically in many, many universes. Like we are in current one universe in one day of Brahma. Like that, there are billions of universes out there. And Supreme Lord comes at scheduled times as different incarnations in different universes in different yugas also. So this
So
keep on going.
are there any books that explain his incarnation about his yesterday's day?
Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah.
So as far as I know, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about today's day of the Supreme Soul, right?
No, no, it also, for example, you might have heard about Narada Muni's story in Srimad Bhagavatam, you might have read. Narada Muni
Oh,
describes previous day of Brahma.
okay.
What
No,
happened to
not
him, he will
about
say.
Brahma, about the Supreme Soul.
Yeah,
About
like that. Supreme Lord comes in each yuga like that. Same thing. What is happening in this day of Brahma,
okay.
in previous day of Brahma also, he does the similar things
Okay.
basically.
So you said that Supreme Soul will end everything, every material, everything that he created comes to an end at the end of his day. Okay.
Not Supreme Lord doesn't have a day,
Okay.
but the end of the day of Brahma.
Okay.
Beyond Brahma is the Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
At the end of the day of Brahma, there's a partial annihilation. That means there are 14 planetary systems in the world. It's a big topic. I'll touch a little bit and we can discuss more later on also. Basically, 14 planetary systems. The lower planetary systems are all destroyed at the end of the Brahma.
Mhm.
And then when the life of Brahma is done, 100 years of his life, that time the whole universe is gone.
Mm.
And then he'll recycle again. Supreme Lord will create again like that.
So what is the meaning of liberation then? When let's say you got liberated,
Uh-huh.
you are into God now.
Uh-huh.
Now, what does it mean? Again, things gets restarted. Said, what is the meaning of liberation then?
Ah, very nice question. This is very connected to the fourth session. So please wait till the fourth session, but I'll give you some understanding now. As you hear the second and third, fourth question, especially, you'll get all answers clarified, but I'll answer it now also. Essentially, liberation means this there are two levels of suffering happening. One is within the day of Brahma, within this yuga, within the Kali Yuga, I may be taking birth in another 20 years as another life form again, right? In some other universe or this universe somewhere. So that is keeping on happening for me, birth and death cycle. And even after annihilation, it's not that I'm gone. Even after annihilation, I go to Mahavishnu's body, and then when it creates, I come back again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But liberation means getting out of this birth and death life cycle altogether. That means going to the spiritual world beyond the middle world. When I go there, then I don't have to go through this cycle of birth and again, even though at the end of the Brahma, creation again happens, right? Then I don't come back in that generation again because I'm already in spiritual world because of liberation. That
So
is what
you'll
liberation means.
never be back again into this
Yeah,
material world. Not
you
just
got it.
this
Yeah,
one, but any other planet, you'll never be part of that material.
you got it. Perfect. Yeah. Any other planet in the whole material world, any billions of planets, you don't come any again. Good point. Good understanding. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I have few more questions also, some
Yeah.
related to karma, but
Yeah.
not now, maybe in some other session.
Karma, you like in the next sessions, you love it.
Mm,
Coming up, third session, I think. You will
right.
love the karma session. You will understand more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Broji, for nice questions.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Kiran Prabhu, for nice question. I understand there might be many questions can come up like that. That's why it's good to ask, but most of these questions will be answered as the session progress. But you can feel free to ask. So, is there any more question anybody wants to ask? No? Okay. So there is one question by Mona Mataji. Mona Mataji, why don't you ask directly instead of reading that whole thing? We can't hear you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Manamade. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, when you were showing the slide related to the evidences that talks about near-death experiences, past life memories, and all those examples, so I excuse me. So I wanted to understand, like, why do such experiences happen at all? Are there like they are mistakes of the nature, or are those people who have experienced it, are they fortunate enough to see this past life? Like, why did this happen? Are these mistakes, or is there any meaning, or are those evidences of Krishna has given us to understand this concept like that? So just
Oh,
help me understand the purpose of this experiences, past life, all those things. Yes.
thank you for the thoughtful question, Mate. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, first, two things three broad things I'll explain. One is these experiences, remembering past from past life, it may be helpful, it may be hurtful also. That's the first aspect I'll mention before I go to the question. Because let us say I remember that I was a prime minister in last life, prime minister of US, prime minister of India in the last life. Now I will be suffering. Oh my God, I was prime minister. Why am I like this now? Or let us say now in this life I'm a beggar, and the past life I'm a billionaire. Then I cannot live with this life as a beggar. So there is suffering also involved in it to remember. And some people say, oh, if I know what mistakes I did in my past life, then I will realize it and then I will do careful now like that. There's a benefit also to it, some for some of them, like that. But generally, then now the question comes, why some people remember, why some people don't remember? And is there purpose behind it? That is your real question.
Yep.
So 99% of the people don't remember. We know that, right? 99% of people don't remember. Why is that so? Because that is explained in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains to Arjuna, Arjuna in the fourth chapter, when Krishna says, I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, he gave it to Sun God, like that, he gives the whole parampara, how the knowledge he gave, so several years ago. Then Arjuna, like a nice person, intelligent, thoughtful devotee, he asked the question, we are both living in the planet right now. You were telling 1,000 years ago, so many years ago, you gave knowledge. How is that true? Like that, he explains. Then Krishna answering that question, he explains this. He says, we both are eternal souls. We both have taken, we both have been living there eternally for a long time now. And you have taken so many material bodies. I did not take material bodies. So that's one difference between Krishna and Jiva, right? So now, because you're changing from one body to another body, usually you don't have that remembrance. Because of that, you don't have remembrance. Like that, Krishna explains. You can take it as an absolute statement. That is why the majority are not remembering past life because they're changing from one material body to another material body. Number one aspect. Number two, it's a facilitation by material nature, through material nature that Krishna is arranging in such a way that we don't remember from past life specific incidents, specific things what happened. But we're carrying past life desires in this life still. That is still there. But we don't have the memory that I was in born in India that time in Kerala. I don't remember that. But I remember the desire still. That is still stored only. So, so that is one. That is a. In fact, acharyas call it. It's a benediction that Krishna is giving, so that we don't suffer through the trauma of the pain that we have occurred in the past. For example, at the end of that life, it seems when we are dying, we suffer through so much trauma. If I remember all of that, then I cannot live with that pain of the trauma like that. So that is the general 99% of the population. Now coming to this 1% or 0.001% population, why does it come? So only explanation we have is they have only reason anything that happens in life for us is these two broad reasons. One is we had a certain desire in the past, in this lifetime, or in the past lifetime, number one, and we acted in certain way in the past lifetime or this lifetime. Because of these two reasons, some action is happening right now, something is happening to me right now, including this remembrance of the past life. Either I had a strong desire, I want to remember this fully, remember this, like that, strong desire, and Krishna is reciprocating with that, number one. Number two, I did certain activity in the past for which I need to either enjoy or suffering because of this remembrance now. So then, because of that certain action that I did, by this remembrance, if it gives me enjoyment, Krishna can award that. By remembering this, it will give me suffering, then Krishna will give me this remembrance so that I can suffer like that. That is a small percentage of people like that. But majority of of us, what we do, Krishna gives the remembrance of the desire only, without the details. My desire is I want to eat a cake. So he'll give the remembrance of desire. So I'll go after cake. How do I get the cake? How do I get the cake? How do I get the cake, like that? So Krishna says, I'll give the forgetfulness, remembrance, intelligence to the living entity, like that. So essentially we can understand Krishna as super soul is awarding memory to certain souls, small percentage of soul, based on their desires or based on their previous action consequences. That is a simple way to understand it, Mate. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji, that helped. Thank you,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
nice, thoughtful question. Thank you, Mate.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Manu Mataji. Anyone else? Any last questions? No? Okay. So thank you so much, Sundaranand Prabhuji, for nicely covering all the aspects of the sessions. So again, I request if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to message in the group, reach out to Sundaranand Prabhu, myself, anytime. We will be also sharing the PDF file and Gita Mahatmya together. We request all the devotees, please, once you get time, just revise, so that you brush up those concepts nicely and you remember for the upcoming sessions also. And that's all for today. Hare Krishna. See you all next
Hare
week.
Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mate. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.